Denominación de Origen is part of a regulatory classification system primarily for Spanish wines but also for other foodstuffs like cheeses, condiments, honey and meat, among many. In wines it parallels the hierarchical system of France and Italy, although Rioja and Sherry preceded the full system. In foods it performs a similar role, namely regulation of quality and geographical origin among Spain's finest producers. There are 5 other designated categories solely for wine and a further 3 specifically covering food and condiments, all recognized by the European Union. In Catalonia, 2 further categories, Q and R, cover traditional Catalonian artisan food produce, but were not recognized by the EU as of 2007. In recent decades, the concept of the Denominación de Origen has been adopted by other countries, primarily in Latin America. Definition: the Spanish Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Food regulates the quality of Spanish foodstuffs via a labeling system which establishes, among other things, a Denominación de Origen for the country's highest quality produce. A semi-autonomous governing body exists for each region and for each food type, comprising skilled, impartial members who investigate the quality, ingredients and production process of each product, ensuring they attain specific quality levels. They report to a central council at national government level but are normally based in the largest population center of a given region and are responsible for enforcing its geographical limits. Products labeled Denominación de Origen, apart from being of superior quality, are expected to carry specific characteristics of geographical region or individual producer and be derived from raw materials originating within the region. Like most of these designations, a fundamental tenet of a label is that no product outside of that region is permitted to bear the name. History. Food and wine are inseparable from Spanish culture, historically bound to the social, economic, literary and even mystical fabric of society over thousands of years. So it is perhaps not surprising that attempts to regulate and normalize activities related to them have proven highly elusive. It was not until the 17th century, when legislative authorities became sufficiently interested in issues such as public health, public order and economic regulation, that laws begin to be formulated with regard to wine, initially prohibiting, later encouraging and ultimately regulating its production, commercialization and consumption. Food regulation waited even longer, until Spain's entry into the EU and signing up to the Common Agricultural Policy during the latter part of the 20th century. A series of royal decrees on wine were issued during the 18th and 19th centuries, focusing on ad hoc issues which arose due to new tendencies at home and abroad and often dealing more with maverick suppliers than any concern with comprehensive regulation. Gradually, though, concern shifted from issues related to supply towards the need to regulate quality, especially for foreign markets. During the 1920s, serious attempts were made to formulate some kind of classification along the lines of the French appellation system. Following the establishment of the Rioja as the first Spanish denomination in 1925, the Estatuto de Vino of 1932 coincided with national and international recognition of the sherry-producing region of Jerez. Despite being thorough and wide-ranging, the Estatuto was quickly overwhelmed by technological advances in agriculture. By the time the EEC became influential in this area, it was clear that the law would require fundamental redrafting. A new Estatuto, the Ley del Vino y de los Alcohols, came into place in December 1970 but was again undermined, this time by 2 important events: the new Spanish constitution that restated geographical considerations with the Estado de las Autonomías, and Spain's pending membership of the European Community that brought about a rapid classification of all Spanish produce in line with other member states. Finally, Finally, in March 1996, the Spanish government unveiled its own multi-tier sub-classifications, consistent with EU regulation but more pertinent to Spanish agriculture. Hence, for example, the EU's quality wines produced in specified regions covers all Spanish wines graded above the basic Vino de Mesa, within which the Spanish Denominación de Origen forms a subset. This has coincided with the rise in the perceived quality of Spanish produce generally and has been widely acclaimed, although some areas, like the super-strict Denominación de Preceded, remain controversial and liable to future amendment. Product types. Denominaciones de Origen status can be applied to a wide range of foods and condiments. Specifically, quality foods may be designated a range of classifications, of which Denominación de Origen is the recognition of superior quality, with identifiable characteristics and specific ingredients derived from an identifiable and verifiable source. Other classifications, not necessarily mutually exclusive, are as follows, under the general heading of Alimentos de Calidad Diferenciada, Denominación de Origen Protegida, an EU designation referring to food products specific to a particular region or town conveying a particular quality, a characteristic of the designated area. Indication Geographical Protegida, similar to DOP but relating to a wider, less specific geographical region. Especialidades tradicionales garantizadas, products made using traditional ingredients, recipes or methods. Artisan food product stamp, recognizing small, family-run food businesses with high-quality, distinctive produce overseen by a qualified artisan. Food quality stamp, foods with superior quality composition, production methods or presentation. Producción Agricultura Ecológica, a stamp guaranteeing natural, environmentally friendly production methods. By 2004, Spain had 250 denominaciones de Origen and indications geográficas protegidas, over half of which related to food. The following list of better-known denominaciones de Origen is by no means exhaustive. Olive oil. The denominaciones de Origen for olive oil include Acide Monterrubio, from Badajoz in Extremadura, mostly Cornezuelo and Picul varieties. Barrena, Joya Blanca, Picul and Lechin varieties from the southeast of the province of Córdoba. Les Garrigues, Arbequina and Verdial varieties from the province of Lleida in Catalonia. Priego de Córdoba, Picado, Joya Blanca and Picul varieties from the province of Córdoba. Sierra Magna, Picul variety from the southern part of Jaén province. Sierra Segura, mostly Picul from the northeast of Jaén province. Sierrana, Arbequina, Royal Amaro varieties from the province of Tarragona. Iberian ham. The famous jam in Serrano has several denominaciones de Origen, including Huelva, source of the renowned jamón de Jabugo. Teruel, Guijuelo, well known for jam in Y. Paleta Ibericos de Belota. Dehesa de Extremadura. Los Pedroches, cheese tetia, unusually shaped cheese from Galicia. Cabrales, Asturian blue cheese. Picanbetas Tresviso, from Liébana region in the province of Cantabria. Libana, from Cantabria, renowned for smoked cheeses. Cantabria, fresh Cantabrian cheese. Idiazabal, famous Basque cheese whose to covers Alava, Biscay, Guipuzcoa and Navarre. Roncal, from Navarre. Zamorano, from Zamora. Manchegard, the most famous and popular of Spanish cheeses, is from La Mancha region. La Serena, sheep's milk cheese from Badajoz. Afuagril Petus, cow's milk cheese from Asturias. Vinegar. There are just 3 appellations for vinegar in the EU, of which 2 are in Spain: Vinga de Jerez, sherry vinegar from Jerez; Condado de Huelva, white wine vinegar from Huelva. Wine region classification in Spain takes a quite complex hierarchical form in which the Denominación de Origen is a mainstream grading, equivalent to the French AOC and the Italian DOC. As of 2011, Spain has 120 identifiable wine regions under some form of geographical classification regulatory code in Spanish, which Spain formally adopted in 1986, upon accession to the EEC. The Spanish appellation hierarchy was most recently updated in 2009, and are as follows. DOC, Denominación de Origen Calificada, is the highest category in Spanish wine law, reserved for regions with above-average grape prices and particularly stringent quality controls. Rioja was the first Spanish region to be awarded DOC status in 1991, followed by Priorat in 2003. Priorat calls itself DOQ, Denominación de Origen Qualificada. These are the only 2 regions considered above DO status. DO, Denominación de Origen, the mainstay of Spain's wine quality control system. Each region is governed by Consejo Regulador, who decides on the boundaries of the region, permitted varietals, maximum yields, limits of alcoholic strength and other quality standards of production limitations pertaining to the zone. DOP, Denominación de Origen provisional status may be granted to aspiring regions. VCIG, Vinos de Calidad con indicación geográfica, a level proposed in 2005 for wines better than Vino de la Tierra but below DO. VDLT, Vino de la Tierra, a mid-level regional wine that conforms to local norms without qualifying for DO status, the equivalent of the French Vin de Pays. VDM, Vino de Mesa, the catch-all at the bottom of the pyramid that for all wine from unclassified vineyards and wine that has been declassified by blending. This includes both inexpensive jug wines and some of the country's most expensive and prestigious wines, not yet classified due to innovation outside traditional lines. VP, Vino de Pagard, a special term for high-quality, single-estate wines which in some cases also belong to DO or VDLT appellations. VOS, very old sherry, and applies to sherries with an average age of at least 20 years. VORS stands for very old rare sherry. The 2 DOQ regions are Priorat, Rioja. The more prominent DO regions include Jumia is a very successful DO producing notable wines from ungrafted pre-phylloxera monastral vines. Campo de Borja has recently become more prominent. It features a number of cooperatives who produce Garnacha and Tempranillo. Jerez Executais sherry. Penedès is notable not only for the production of the sparkling wine cava, but popular red wines from Tempranillo, Garnacha and Cariñena grapes. Res Bakers is known for its Albarino varietals, Spain's #1 white wine. Other whites grown here include Trexadura, Lurera, Quino Blanco, and Dorantes. Popular red grapes in this region include Quino Tinto and Suzon. Ribera del Duero challenges Rioja for the best red wines produced in Spain. Almost all of its wines are made from the Tempranillo grape. Rueda, located west of Ribera del Duero, producing notable reds and whites typically less expensive than those of its more famous neighbors. Priorat and Rioja are the 2 highest regarded wine-producing regions in Spain and carry the special Denominación de Origen Calificada. Toro, located between provinces of Zamora and Valladolid, along the River Duero, producing notable reds, from Tinta de Toro, the local name for Tempranillo.